Alvin Chico joins us on the line from the National Grid Corporation's press briefing on the power situation. Hey, Alvin.
Hi, Ron. Just like the Department of Energy, the National Grid Corporation, the operator of the country's electricity grid, has also announced it cannot guarantee a brownout-free election day on May 9. In a press conference, the NGCP says, barring any untoward incidents, there's actually ample electricity reserve in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, but NGCP spokesperson, Attorney Cynthia Alabanza, says she cannot guarantee whether the power plants that produce electricity will run normally as expected. There is likely no problem in Luzon and Visayas, but in Mindanao, the NGCP worries about uncleared vegetation in transmission lines that connect a portion of the Agros hydropower complex to the grid. The NGCP says 16 of the 29 landowners who have right-of-way issues have settled, but a number still continue to insist on a higher settlement. Alabanza says a landowner, for example, demands 10 million pesos for his property use as settlement when the actual valuation is only pegged at 586,000 pesos. Alabanza says if no settlement is achieved soon, authorities will have no choice but to force their way inside the property soon to clear the vegetation and comply with the April 30 deadline of clearing the area. When asked if there's a threat from terror groups, Alabanza says there is none. Of the 23 tower bombings since 2015, not a single demand letter was sent to NGCP prior to these attacks. For ANC, Alvin Chico, ABS-CBN News.
Alvin, just a quick question. Are they coming up with a plan on the worst-case scenarios? There are no threats right now, but the polls are still a few days away, and all the other preparations that they're making.
Well, there are thousands and thousands of transmission lines. That is one problem. And the other problem is the NGCP has no control of plants producing electricity. That belongs to the generation side.
Right.
They only control the transmission side. So barring any untoward incidents, there will be no problem. Electricity will be there, but the NGCP has no control of plants producing the power and the long transmission lines from Luzon to Mindanao. Ron.
Hi, Alvin. It's Carmina here. This is really not much different from what they said. I think it was last March when they said that, you know, electricity, the supply of it, although that has changed now, is really not the problem. It's the transmission. So is the NGCP saying that the elections, at least the power that will supply the elections, is really held hostage by these private entities, these landowners, on whose land these towers are erected? Alvin?
Well, at least a portion of it, Casey, because that portion in Mindanao is directly connected to a hydropower complex, the Agos 2, and it produces around 80 megawatts, which is very crucial in making Mindanao 100% with power during election day. So the supply is a different matter, but crucial is the transmission.
Correct.
How you're going to distribute the supply to residents and to polling centers during election day.
Now, Alvin, did they give any scenario as to, okay, they're not assuring any brownout-free polls, but are they saying as to maybe how many hours brownouts are expected? Which areas stand to suffer this most likely, Alvin?
Actually, Attorney Cynthia Alabanza is with me right now. She is the spokesperson of the NGCP. Carmina is asking if there is a projection of power interruptions during election day in case the transmission problems are not solved.
If the transmission-related problems, especially in Mindanao, are not resolved on time, we cannot guarantee the continued transmission of electricity in Mindanao. So there is no way to guarantee that there will be no outages on that day.
But she's asking about perhaps the rotating brownouts. Would you have the schedule ready, 3-hour, 2-hour, 1-hour brownout?
We cannot say that, no, for now. But if one of the more critical lines does not get cleared in time, we stand to lose around 80 megawatts from 2 hydro facilities. So that is something that NGCP is focusing its attention on to at least mitigate all possible instances where we will have power interruption.
Casey?
All right, we're just going to have to keep our fingers crossed then. Alvin El
Pray
Chico,
hard.
thank you for joining us this afternoon. Thanks again, Alvin.